Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind. By
Deadlights. Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, Deadlights, Sam.
And I am Deadlights, Leslie, bringing you your Deadlights weekly. Deadlights.
Wow, we're saying one word over and over again. Uh-oh.
Why is that, Sam?
That's a bad sign. It's a
Bad.
sign of an infection of our words. Bad.
Bad.
I think it has something to do with the movie that we just watched.
You said doo-doo.
Do.
You said doo-doo.
We just watched Pontypool from 2008.
Eight.
Directed by Bruce McDonald and written by Tony Burgess. A radio host interprets the possible outbreak of a deadly virus which infects the small Ontario town he is stationed in.
Yikes.
Side note, this movie is also offered as an audio play. So the intention of this film was to very much rely heavily on the audio and not necessarily need the video, which I think the video was still a nice accompaniment for us. But yes, we could have sat there and closed our eyes and listened to this entire thing and pretty much got exactly what was going on.
Yeah, and for that, all the sound had to be pristine. You're telling a story through sound, so really playing that up. So it sounded delicious.
Good morning, Pontypool. This is Radio 660, The Beacon.
And also then on top of it, the themes that we're talking about have to do with sound and talking and words. So everything is going back to this idea of audio, which I think they really drove that home through and through in the movie really, really well.
It's viral. That much is clear. But not of the blood. Not blood, not in the air, not on or even in our bodies. It is here.
Where?
It is in words.
Sound is powerful.
Yes. And this movie then takes those ideas and what happens when the words become, the manipulating words become infected with evilness, and hate. So I thought it was a great little tie that they had going on between what you're talking about, this power of words and the power of audio that we are subjected to without us even realizing it unconsciously. And so then tying that into hate speech. What hate speech are we unconsciously being fed, and how is that affecting us and affecting everyone around us that is hearing and these things repeated?
I am trying to piss a few people off because that's how it's done. Simple as that. You see, a pissed off listener is a wide awake listener, and he ain't gonna change the station.
What language are you surrounding yourself with? I'm a big fan of true crime, and I've had to put a pause because I feel like I got to a point where I was trying to catch up with the podcasts that have been going on for several years. So that's all I was hearing. And now I'm all caught up, but I'm like, whoa, I was just listening to people, like really bad things, literally for years. And any time that I put something on was that. And I had to stop and I was like, okay, mix it up. Put some comedy. Here's some freaking, like a TV show or something that doesn't have to involve with that. And it's just that. What are you surrounding yourself? What is the language that you are...
Yeah, and it also is, I think that we should just go into the meat because I feel like that's the top thing that this movie is about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the meat. Because it really does go back to what you're talking about. And in this movie specifically, obviously we're talking about a radio show. You were specifically just talking about, rap music, but it goes back to all forms of art,
All of them.
even paintings, or video games. There is a conversation that constantly comes up in the cycles of life where is this new form of art dangerous for people to view
Video
or
games
watch or experience, and then how is that affecting people? And I think that is a huge conversation, but in reality, I feel like when we go to that conversation, it usually just ends at art isn't really the thing that we should be blaming for people's spreading hate. It's the people that have the ideas, that should be blamed. It's the people that are interpreting these things as hateful or as this, as that. So I feel like it always ends, even though art, quote unquote, whatever it is in question, it always ends at the fact of this is human.
Yeah.
And created by humans.
At the end of the day, it's, like an art piece that's hanging on the wall, it's not moving,
Mm-hmm.
A video game that's violent, it's just a video game.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people. And I think with that being said is we need to really create a society in which is receiving help,
Mm-hmm.
that they know that they have stuff available to them. And we're teaching children at a very young age to be able to express their emotions and talk it through, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And
That's what it should be.
I mean,
Yeah.
just letting people know, like, hey, you're okay. And you can like dark things. I mean, this podcast is all about horror.
Yeah.
And we've seen some terrible things, but are we going out and committing them? No. And it's a hard conversation to have with people who don't see this, because they're like, well, that should make you violent. If you keep seeing these things, that should make you violent. And it's like, no, because I'm not a violent person.
And we're then also having an hour-long conversation about processing what we just saw, too, which is what we're talking about. We need to have these spaces of, when people go through traumatic things, spaces for them to go to process these things. And I think that tying it back to Pontypool, one of the first lines that the main character Grant says is that typically traumatic events have a ripple effect.
It's a ripple effect. So, what does it mean? Well, it means something's going to happen. Something big. But then, something's always about to happen.
And that's what we're dealing with in this movie. Just to give people context, this is a zombie movie, essentially, where the infection is spread through audio and through people talking to each other. And then once you are infected, you then try to go and infect other people with those same words.
Which is something that I want to say a lot of these groups of people that we're seeing, I mean, it's always been alive, but now more than ever, a very scary resurgence of the neo-Nazis. And I think the reason why it's continued to be such a present group is because there are spaces available for this hate to continue, and misinform them and have them forget that we're all humans and we have our own experience to express ourselves. And sadly, it's trying to be taken away from people that just want to be themselves. And in this movie, people had something that tied them into the virus, and they couldn't stop repeating it. One of our victims who worked in the radio station was, it seems like, really concerned about this missing cat that everyone knew about. And she just kept repeating that.
I'm gonna go see if Mr. Mazzie's missing. 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 Isn't missing.
She was just stuck in that frequency. Yeah. Which I think is great. That's a great tie that you made where when the people start getting infected, it is kind of something personal. And they do make that tie that don't say terms of endearment because those are the words that it gets in, like seeps into.
Yeah.
So
And
it
no
starts
baby
with,
talk.
No baby talk. So it starts young and it starts with like these words of love, which is this very typical like manipulative tactic, you know, get them young and get them with sweet words so then we can infiltrate our hateful ideas.
I mean, that kind of sounds like a cult.
That's exactly what it is. And it's the neo-Nazis, like what you're talking about. And then something that you were always also kind of touching on, which I think this movie does a pretty good job of setting up, is the responsibility that some of these media houses or radio stations, how much responsibility should they be taking on the reports that they're putting out?
Now, I had a strange experience on my way into work this morning, and I'd like to get some advice from you people later on. When do you call 911? Think about it.
So our main character, Grant, at the beginning of the movie, he has a phrase, take no prisoners, you know, and that's his way of saying he's going to be completely honest. He's not going to sugarcoat his opinions about anything at all. And he's not going to sugarcoat the truth. He's going to put out exactly what he's hearing because he believes, you know, people deserve to know the truth. Take no prisoners. That's Grant's motto. But then it's like, okay, he's also not taking any responsibility for how people then take that information that he's giving them and then interpreting it. You know, like what you were saying before, people are being bombarded all the time with this misinformation from so many different sources. At what point are those sources responsible for someone getting a gun and killing people? His character's journey is a nice kind of realization of the power of
You do
words that
have
we
a
speak.
power. And also in relation to that, these influencers, these celebrities too, they're constantly being asked by people like to watch out with what they do and what they say, what they're advertising, because it's not just a money grab. You have young people who admire them that are going to do the things that, you know, these celebrities and influencers are doing. And right now it's a big issue with, you know, TikTok being the main source of these kind of people that and companies that hire, you know, quote unquote influencers to have ads everywhere
Or just
for
use their products.
Yeah. To quote unquote use products. I'm going to keep on saying quote unquote because it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
So many air quotes that you can't see for those of you listening. So I have to say quote unquote.
Air quotes, yeah.
But it's all misinformation. And then you have other influencers that then are de-influencing, but it's all influencing.
It's all going back to sell this, buy this, all that kind of
don't,
stuff.
you know, like, I got this, so you don't have to. And then it's all these words. It's all these phrases, all these words that you're using to then have people clickbait and have people. It's been interesting because I hate all these words because then you're hearing it for hours, and people are using the same music for like videos that.
Yeah, because it's also part of the algorithm, you know, the same words and same music to get you the more views. It's
scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And that's what I was going to say is this movie, it was made in 2008, but extremely timely to now between the TikTok era of all that stuff being put in our face. Also this misinformation, fake news stuff that we're dealing with today. It's incredibly timely of the modern age.
We should stop.
But we need to tell people about this. People need to know. We have to get this out.
Well, it's your call, Mr. Mazzy. But let's just hope what you're getting out there isn't going to destroy your world.
Yeah.
All right, why don't we go back to the can?
Let's go.
Let's talk about the can. I mean, I think that very briefly we can talk about the cinematography. I mean, I thought that the use of sound waves was actually pretty cool. They started with just a big old sound wave as we hear Grant's voice for the first time, and we see that going up and down. That really nicely sets the stage for this is going to be a heavy audio movie. And then the actual coloring of the movie was extremely flat. It was like almost like no contrast in anything. Gray walls, people were dressed pretty drab, very muted colors. And I then started thinking about, I wonder if they did that so we weren't distracted too much by the visual because they wanted us to listen more. So I thought it was kind of an interesting and possibly intentional choice for them to make the actual video look less interesting because they wanted us paying attention to the audio, which the audio was great.
The audio was fantastic. It's probably the best sounding audio in a film that I've seen in a really long time.
Mrs. French's cat is missing. Pontypool, 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 Pontypool. What does it mean?
The sound in this movie,
Yes.
absolutely great. And the actor sounded...
Yeah. The guy who played the radio host, a.k.a. Grant, killed it.
Killed it. And meant real good.
Yes.
He sounded buttery and velvety and just wanted to smear that on a rye toast.
Yeah, his voice was really cool because he wasn't like what you were talking about before with like the news anchors. He wasn't that like flat affect, no emotion. He felt like a cowboy.
Oh,
Like
I mean,
coming,
he
like,
had a hat.
well, yes,
had
he
the
looked like a
shirt.
cowboy, but if you're just listening to him, like it was very gruff, kind of like an everyday man, you know, a hardworking guy, and he was smooth, and he felt like he could really relate to you on that level.
Which is, I want to say his voice is at a
Pitch.
pitch.
Mhm.
Wanted to say peach. Because
Peach.
peach is...
Peach's pitch.
I couldn't do it.
We're still trying to figure it out, y'all.
I couldn't even remember what I was saying. Oh no, I'm infected. Infected. No, I think his voice is at a pitch that is soothing. We use so like imagine the voice of a man doing a Ford commercial.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like a car commercial
Yep.
where it's inviting and it's like, yeah, I'm an everyday man.
I'm tough.
I'm tough.
Ford tough.
I smoke.
Yeah.
And then it's gruff. Yeah, it's gruff, but it's soothing at the same time.
Yep, just like that. Just like that.
Excuse me.
And I thought that his performance was absolutely the best performance of the movie. He was, like I said, started off as this like very confident and cocky character. And then as the movie went on and as they're learning the information and learning the severity of what's going on, there is a moment where he breaks essentially and realizes that this is real.
Is this actually happening, Ken?
Easy, Grant, easy.
All right.
It's a long shot too, so they're holding on to him really, really long time. And you can just see like the realization going into his eyes. I thought that moment was just so good for him. Like, ugh.
Which is, if they were going to use all their resources to find one good actor in this movie, it was his.
Oh yeah.
His character needed to hold the movie because not only sound great, but also just like No, it just sounded great.
Yeah, I mean, but he was our guy.
But then, yeah, like
He's
in
our
the
main
film,
character.
he was just a great actor.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else was subpar
Yeah, mid.
or subpar, but
Yeah.
they sounded great.
Yeah.
That like at least if they didn't carry the emotion in their face, it definitely carried it in their voice. There were just some lines that some people would say, and it had nothing.
And it's interesting, I think, thinking about this as a radio or as an audio play as well, because like what you just said, if we didn't see them, if we didn't see what their faces were doing at some points, we could probably buy their performances a little more because they do sound good. And then, but the flip of the coin of that is that when you take an audio play and make it into a movie, there are some of those lines that sound a little flowery or poetic, like, oh, this is more of like a play. So there is like two sides of it, you know?
Yeah.
But I thought for the most part, it was translated very well.
There is this one scene that made me want to gag.
I think we should get to the cook, because I was thinking about moving to that one next. Let's go for it.
Well, Lawrence and the Arabians have come all this way. Yes, Tony.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Grant.
I will wake the fallen boy. I will not forsake a trust. I will reach back across the dunes and stir the desert's heart and fill it with your blood. It is a sacred trust to fill it with your blood.
Fuck you, Rick.
What are the responsibilities of these stations of what they put out there? You know, we have this like very clear insensitive group that is spreading their insensitivities and their ignorance over the radio. And they are not even paying attention to that. They're just like, there's another guest we got to get through. So, but they do have a responsibility of the people that they put onto their radio show.
Yeah.
So I interpreted this moment as a very, very clear sign of like ignorance of like, let's just get through it. But no, like we need to stop these people. Like these people shouldn't be in the studio. You have a responsibility of like not giving these people a platform because they're clearly racist assholes. So that was definitely just like the ignorance that's going on, not only in this radio station, but in like this town.
I'm just wondering, was that purposeful?
I hope so.
What was it like a meta way to like have then the radio station not be held accountable for really researching whether this group of people were who they say they were.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made it very clear that they weren't because they didn't even bother even having the little girls' makeup blend. Like you can, like they were wearing their clothes and then even the makeup, the brown makeup was on the clothes. So I'm like, how can you not have seen that as, you know, someone who's making this movie? Or
and that's what I'm saying.
Was it purposeful?
Exactly. There's absolutely no possible way that they wouldn't notice that. And that it was very clear, stop here and like exactly.
Yeah.
So to me, it was so over the top obvious that they had to be making a statement with it. Now, was it the most tasteful way to do it? Probably not, but it did cause this very visceral reaction to both of us.
Yeah.
And definitely perpetuated this idea of spreading hate and spreading ignorance, at least. It was a tough part to swallow, though.
Yeah.
Definitely a tough part to swallow. And then the little girl coming back later to attack them, that then again drove home this idea of like, you brought this person into your studio and now you're paying for the repercussions by them being infected and attacking you.
Oh, we are witnessing the emergence of a new arrangement for life, and our language is its host.
Although I love the concept of, you know, words being a virus. Excuse me. I didn't understand a lot of what they were saying.
I
maybe
think that, yeah, as far as the cook goes, I agree with you. I love this idea of infected language and things are spreading through words.
Because, like, we've seen zombie movies.
Yeah.
How many other ways can we have a group of people be infected?
Super cool take. I love the take.
So cool.
And at a certain point, though, I a little bit got confused as well. I was like, wait a second. Is it one word that, like, how do you get the infection?
I thought we were just going to figure out the word because they kept
Right.
saying the word. And I was like, oh, cool. This is fun. This is a fun little puzzle.
Yeah.
We're going to, like, you know, come down and figure out what word it is.
What is it? And that's what I thought too. So then when it didn't come to that of them like figuring out the word, I was like, wait a second. So how do you get it? Like, at what point how do you get infected? You know, is it when you understand?
It enters us when we hear the word and we understand it. Understand?
I guess I'm not going to get infected because I don't understand.
That's true. That was the thing. It was like, okay, they didn't really tie that in very much of how you actually got infected if there was a specific word. And then the whole, like, you have to disunderstand to understand.
Kill. Sid. Sydney, I think you got an infected word. You're infected. Sydney, kill isn't kill. It isn't kill. Kill isn't kill. Kill isn't kill. Kill isn't kill. It isn't kill.
Yeah, so I thought the setup was really good. I thought the setup was great, and like their journey to try to figure out what was going on was really, really cool. But then when it came time for them to try to solve it, I just didn't really get how they solved it that much, or even if they could. Because then at the end, it was kind of a dire ending. I think they died because
Everyone died.
Yeah, they were just killing, they were shooting people. Which was an interesting moment because he had just saved Sydney, and then he's like, I gotta get on the radio and try to save everyone. And as he's on the loudspeaker trying to save everyone, no one outside can hear it because the gunshots and the bombs are too loud for even anyone to hear it. So I like that, you know, like, oh shit, like he found the cure, but because of our sounds of war were too loud, we couldn't even hear what the cure was. Ooh, that's poetic.
Ooh, that's poetic.
Ooh. But yeah, the kind of like actual spreading of the virus, I didn't really understand. And then the cure seemed a little too abstract, I guess, for me.
They needed to find a better way. I wish it was either a phrase or a word just to kind of simplify it. But I did like the whole, like, you know, them at the end. At least they saved each other.
Yeah. The only thing that I just wanted to mention real quick in The Cook, because we're dealing with a movie that takes place with one location, it's very play-like. You have to come up with creative ways for new characters to come into the story. And Dr. Mendez, which love Dr. Mendez. Dr. Mendez is a good character, funny character.
Funny.
But he literally he climbs through the window. He climbs
and then backwards,
and then goes out the window. All right, let's get to the thrill.
Yeah, let's get it.
Scary.
Obviously,
we're dealing with a virus. We're dealing with a virus here. So first of all, I kind of wanted to talk about, we're also dealing with audio, a lot of audio. And I thought one of the more tense moments of the movie was when we were listening to either Ken in the field or people calling in.
We go to Ken Loney in the Sunshine Chopper.
It's always brighter above the clouds, Grant.
It seems that a large group of people have gathered outside the offices of Dr. John Mendez.
They seem to be trying to cram themselves inside. Oh, whoa!
What's happening, Ken?
There's definitely fatalities here. Down there, people have just died, Grant. I don't know what the hell has just happened.
So don't move, and you just stay there, and we're gonna...
Like animals, and some are naked, and they're like dogs. And their eyes, that look, it's just startled, kind of wild. I've seen things today that are gonna ruin the rest of my natural life, Grant. And I'm scared. I'm scared.
It has that like phone quality about it, which kind of makes it creepy too. But then we're just sitting there listening, and your imagination is just like going crazy of like what's going on. And they just do such a great job of giving you enough information over these voicemails or these calls for you to picture what's going on, but not enough, not specific enough where you'd really have to fill in these blanks.
Well, also with that, I just want to say this is the biggest crowd we've had in viewing a movie.
That's true, actually, yeah.
Your roommates came about.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed the movie together. And I think one of the biggest reasons why is because the audio was really good.
Mm-hmm.
It really lured them out.
Yeah.
We had one of them going back and forth, and then they just like decided to stay and
yeah, they were lingering for a while, and then they sat
Yeah.
down finally.
Yeah. So that was really good, and that was just the power of how great it sounded. It really lured you in, and those moments, I mean, you can see how it is an audio play. I kind of prefer that we could have just heard it.
Yeah.
As opposed to see it. But yeah, those moments where Ken is like explaining what's going on was really interesting because one of the people had no hands. So I'm just wondering what happened.
Right. No explanation for that. It was just there. His hands were cut off at the wrists. Oh, what the fuck happened there?
Why?
Yeah,
why?
Yeah.
So I was kind of expecting then the person who, what's her name? Lou? No. Laurel.
Yeah.
Laurel to then start like eating herself, which she kind of did. She started kind of eating her tongue and then smashing her fucking face.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, okay. So if they don't infect someone, they keep in this loop. So then they're like, go mad.
Yeah.
So then they start, I don't know.
Yeah.
Chopping up their limbs?
That's what I thought. I thought we were going to start seeing some like finger eating or something. Yeah, no, I had that exact same thought. Because, yeah, the fuck happened there? I don't know.
I think it was supposed to be that.
Yikers.
But I don't think they wanted to make it that gory. Because we got just a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Enough for her to like...
We got all the audio horror, as I will call it, which was great, you know, because that really got us into our heads of what's going on outside. And also we have Grant kind of reacting to that too. He at one point is like, I just need to go look outside. I just got to go see if it's as crazy as it sounds. And that's what we're thinking too, you know, as we're listening.
Are we going to get out of here?
Yeah, it's like, what does it look like out there? But then I thought having the character of Laurel in the studio, she is our essentially the view of what the virus actually does do to you. I thought that was great as well, because we got to see the virus from the beginning to the end. We got to see her start to imitate words and jumble words and then imitate sounds and then hitting herself up against the glass, which was super eerie.
She couldn't get through them. You know, they were in a sound booth.
She was seeking sound.
She was seeking someone to hear her. And she is our young character among these group of people. So for her, it's interesting for her to then be the first one to get infiltrated by the virus was really unique. Because you would have thought that it would have been the person that has been listening to all these language, but no, it's the young. It's the person that didn't have the experience.
Yeah. She pretty quickly got infected. And then I think it's interesting because, once you get infected, all you want to do is spread the virus. And then she couldn't because she was outside of the sound booth and everyone was inside the sound booth. And she tried to get her best to get in. And then when she couldn't spread the infected speech, she ended up throwing up, I'm assuming, all of her insides. It seemed like just blood and guts just coming out of her.
Yeah, her intestines.
Yeah, it was like word vomit, like what was inside, what she was trying to say to someone, just forced its way out, and then she died. All right, let's get to the ride.
Let's get to the ride.
The ride. Let's pull on in. I think that this movie did a really good job of pulling, at least for me, pulling me in. And then, like I said before, once we jumped on the ride, it pretty much sped right through. Like, it took us a little bit to get there with, like, them setting up who we're talking about. And then we have these, like, random, like, weird stories kind of coming in. But I liked that because it was, like, just hinting at what was going to come. And then suddenly it was here. And then we're dealing with this situation. Oh, fuck.
It did for me. It took a little bit of time. We were learning how a radio show worked.
Yeah.
Which to me wasn't necessary, but cool concept, of like, now I know how a radio show works.
Yeah. I think they were, it almost seemed like they were just trying to really set us in there to try to make us forget that we're in a horror movie, I guess.
Well, yeah, because we're also setting out the exterior of the location. We're understanding that it's a small city, so people are waiting to hear the news about how terrible the weather is. So, like, is the bus coming? Can you drive? Any updates on so-and-so's cat? So very small town kind of concept. So for the virus to have spread as fast as it did, made sense. But yeah, like, once we got to the climax, I was like, wow, buckle up.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, it was like once he had that break with reality, it was like, we're going. We're in now.
This is no longer a job. This is the job.
Yeah, this is life or death. Life or death. Oh, Pontypool.
Pontypool!
What a visit we had to Pontypool, Canada.
Do I want to go? No.
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 No is yes. No is yes.
No is yes.
Wow. Nice.
Goes.
All right, let's get to these smash pumpkins, huh? Smash them up, smash them down.
I have no idea.
No idea. All right. I guess I can talk it through. I'll go first this time.
Okay.
I think that as far as the filmmaking goes, it was great. Because I'm definitely including the audio in there as well. Really, like we said, it literally pulled people into watching the movie while we were watching it. So I think that is a testament to how good it was. And aside from, some of the other actors, I thought the main guy was great. I was along the ride with him. And then the idea I really enjoyed this idea of infected language, infected words, with hate especially. I think it's a very poignant theme that they were playing with. And it was, it definitely hit home for me as far as what's going on today. And it was scary. It was scary to think about some of these things. So I think I'm going to give it all that being said, there was definitely some not landing of the plane with the virus, because it was kind of confusing how they got it in the first place and how it spread and all the rules of the virus, which in a zombie movie I kind of feel like is important.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Because they could speak other languages, by the way.
Yeah, well, it made this like intentional point to say that English was infected.
It's only the English language that's infected. Oh, brave.
Which fair, because the English language is fucked up anyway.
Stupid.
I think I am going to give this movie 3.5.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
3.5 Smash Pumpkins out of 5.
Smasharoos.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie.
I'm gonna give it a 3. I like the concept, for sure. Because I just like figuring out how many different ways can we create a zombie. So this was definitely unique, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
For that. But I just can't find it to be one of my favorite ones. So I'm just gonna give it a very average score.
Yeah.
Because I don't hate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
And
think it could have been executed just a little bit more, like refined.
3's just over the midway mark.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a little above average. And I agree with that because they really killed it in the audio department. Like
Killed?
absolutely killed. Kill is kiss. They kissed it in the audio department. But yeah, there was some definite like themes and stuff that I don't think were fully. The themes were good, but I don't think they were fully like fleshed out. And it is a zombie movie, so we need to understand this virus a little more.
And I didn't grow up with the radio, but when I was going to school for theater, we did dive into trying to produce and create a radio show. So I got to learn how fucking difficult it was. But very, very, very necessary because that was before TV necessary. And just all those like radio plays were so much fun. So go and check those out.
Definitely go check those out. And if you're like so inclined, I want to at least listen to parts of the audio version of this movie. Very curious about it.
See if there's
any difference. Yeah, I'm very curious, or even if the experience is different. And as a filmmaker, I do want to drive home how important audio is. I mean, we think about movies as just video, but no. If you're enjoying a good movie, 50% of it is the audio. Like, it's what creates the world around you. It's what immerses you in the world.
I mean,
a picture can only do so much.
That is true. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but audio gets you there in a way that you do not expect. Like, it can drive you to cry. It can drive you to feel happy, to be suspenseful. And sometimes they're very, very subliminal. Like, you wouldn't even know that there is a high-pitched sound that is actually activating something inside you to run away. So there is a psychological, language that you can make with just sound.
Yeah.
You can write a whole beautiful story with that. Or scary.
Very scary. Very, very scary. And I think this movie, Pontypool, was just like a kind of a celebration of the power of sound, good and bad. So I gotta give it to them for that.
Yeah.
Really, really cool use of audio. Pontypool.
Pontypool.
Thank you, Canada.
Thank you, Canada.
Let's see what we got next week.
Who rolls? I mean, who rolls?
Who rolls?
Who
I got a
rolls?
D20. You go for it.
Is it me?
I don't know. It's been too long.
It's been 1 week and a dinner.
All right, here we go. What do we think is gonna be? I don't know.
Oh, there's something better.
Don't look. Don't look at that.
It's like. Oh.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
As kids, they escaped a UFO death cult. Now, 2 adult brothers seek answers after an old videotape surfaces and brings them back to where they began.
Oh, no. That sounds like a bad situation. A cult?
As kids, they escaped a UFO death cult.
Death cult.
What? UFO
Interesting.
Death Cult
Interesting.
from 2017,
Okay.
written by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead.
You know who?
I don't think I've heard of this.
I think they made that movie Resolution that we watched.
Resolution?
Yeah, remember that one where the two guys, he like handcuffs his friend to the radiator to like, because he's like trying to get him off drugs.
Oh, right.
I think it's those guys.
The very like camcorder.
Yes.
The Endless.
The Endless.
The Endless.
The Endless.
UFO Death Cult.
Holy shit. Okay.
Let's get into aliens.
Let's get some more aliens up in here.
Did we get any aliens before? Have we done an alien?
Nope.
I don't remember an alien.
No.
Alien.
Nope.
Oh.
No. The movie. Nope.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. The Endless.
Nope. Okay. Yeah. Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, no.
The film. 2021 film. Nope.
2021 film.
Cool. Well, we will see you next week for The Endless.
You can follow me at Instagram at Color Me Leslie.
And me at BeepBeeperGT. Also call us at 773-669-6677. Leave us voicemails.
Leave us voicemail.
But not infected speech, please.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
No hate.
No hate speech.
Just love.
Love
Any
speech.
cool stories that you might have about any experience that you have had with the horror film or supernatural. We love the supernatural.
Very, very curious. I want to hear it all.
I want to hear it.
You can also find us at the Deadlights Pod.
You can.
And check out Playground Social, which is the studio that we're recording this from.
Mm-hmm.
But until next time, let's get spooky.
Spooky.
Spooky. Spooky. Spooky. Spooky. Spooky. Spooky. Spooky. Spooky.